What's happening? Big Shay reporting for duty. Welcoming you back to another episode of the Yellow Cafe podcast. And this morning, man, unfortunately, I just want to speak about the shooting that took place with former President Trump. Now let's keep in mind, what's the point of this podcast? To show how we should, as Christians, respond and react to different things going on in the world. So this is most definitely, listen, you have to understand whether you like it or not, whether you agree or not. Whenever you're talking about world leaders, presidents, things of that nature, you're talking about prophecy and different things being fulfilled. You understand? So I'm not saying that there's a prophecy of Trump being executed or of an attempt at his life being taken, but I'm just saying anytime you're looking at leaders, especially of a country like America, you just have to be watchful. Now, I don't fully know what to think about everything that we just saw. I know that there's a lot of people who dislike this man, dislike what he stands for, dislikes the hatred that they feel may be ignited or fed through a lot of his speeches and talks. But as a Christian, in no way, shape, or form can you find any pleasure in seeing this man almost have his life taken. You can't. It's not even for you to sit there and say, oh, that's what you get because of this, because of that. You deserve this, deserve that. I know it's easy to say that. I know it's real easy to fall into that category of people who look at him and take this as an opportunity to make fun of him or whatever other type of evil responses people may have to the situation. But as a Christian, I mean, the second that I saw this, I just was like, man, I hope he's all right. Because how tragic, how brutal would it be for you to see that this man was actually executed on television? Now, don't get me wrong, there was someone who still lost their life. Now, they weren't the center of attention, so not to say that that makes it any less important. That is a soul that was taken. That is a life that was taken out there behind some foolishness. I'm just saying it's not the same magnitude or shock value as the actual president or former president having his life taken, if that's would have been what took place. Yeah, the story is still unfolding. There's going to be a lot of things that we have to find out about what took place, but it just was very shocking. You understand? Very shocking to say the least that this took place in the manner that it took place. Like, you know, I know that I haven't heard anyone yet say this, but I just know the type of craziness that we deal with in this day and age. I know someone is potentially thinking that this thing was staged. I even reserve that in the back of my mind because you just don't know anymore in this day and age. And still at the end of the day, you know, you can't say those type of things. You can't play games with those type of things because someone lost their life. So if everyone got away scotch-free and then it just was an opportunity for Trump to look like a hero or something like that, then you can question it. But if there's someone who really lost their life, you can't really speak that type of rhetoric because it's disrespectful at that point to the families of those who are going through what they're going through. You understand? And my heart goes out to them because you are out there with your life being put at risk just in the midst of a bunch of folks who are arguing and fussing about craziness and nonsense. Now look, I know there's such a thing called victim blaming, and I don't ever want to fall into that category because you have to have mercy on everyone. All of us have been in situations and scenarios that we should not have been, where if something would have took place, everyone could have asked the question, why was he even there? why was she even there in the first place? So I don't want to say these things as if I'm having no mercy, no compassion towards these individuals. But it's just a question that does just boggle my mind is, what possesses someone to want to actually be at a political rally for a party when it's just a fact that neither party is 100% correct? Now, yes, maybe maybe these people are going to these rallies thinking, listen, my life is not going to be put at risk. My life is not going to be in danger. I should be able to, yes, you should be able to go to these rallies also and believe that I can go here, say what I want, think what I want, speak how I want to without being put in danger, without being hurt or harmed. But I don't know, bro. I know everyone has their real, true, genuine feelings and opinions on this. And there's a lot of people out there with good hearts and good minds. You know what I mean? It's like, just because you're grouped with some individuals doesn't mean that you support or are willing to do everything to the max that those said individuals are willing to do. You understand? I used to see something going around online, and it was kind of funny. Disrespectful somewhat, but funny because it's the truth. But a lot of times men will group women who hang around with other fast women. They will group those women as fast women also. So just because you see a woman hang around this woman or that woman, you may approach her or come at her a certain type of manner because you say, oh, well, if that's her friends, oh, well, then I know she's like this, I know she's like that. But I started hearing some of the women say in return, listen, just because some of you guys hang around with tough guys and take pictures with tough guys and dudes who have been to jail and dudes who have committed certain crimes, not to say that this is something good or something to glorify, but unfortunately we do in my community. But the women started clapping back and saying, just because you guys hang around with a bunch of guys like that doesn't mean that you guys are those type of guys. You know what I mean? And I couldn't say anything in response to that except touche, well done. You know what I mean? So I say that to say this. A lot of these people who are at these rallies, you know, just because someone is at a Trump rally may not necessarily mean that they are the hateful racists that you may see most people on that side to be. You can't judge that. You can't assume that. You understand? They say this was a family man. They say this man was in church all of the time. I understand there's people who fit that same criteria that are hateful. But I can't throw that jacket on this man. I have to show compassion to this man. Even if he was hateful and foolish, his life was taken. See, everything changes once you see someone's life actually taken, if you have a heart. But a lot of times when you're dealing with a lot of different people, sometimes we think we want punishment on these individuals. We think we want judgment on these individuals. But then sometimes when you see these people receive judgment or receive punishment, sometimes you feel compassionate for them now at that point. You're like, yeah, man, they didn't have to do all of that to them. You know what I mean? Some of you may feel that way. Some of you may be filled with rage and vengeance, and you believe vengeance is yours. You understand what I'm saying? So you may not have that sentiment when those type of times roll around. But, you know, I just still question sometimes, why would you be at a Trump rally? Like, even if you were going to vote for him, go vote for him. You know, I say that, but then I think about people who may have wanted to be at an Obama rally. But see, I know a lot of that was centered strictly around the fact that Obama was black. I myself can admit I voted for Obama because he was black. I had never voted up until that point. My father, who at this point right now today is 99 years old, was born in 1924. Never thought he would see that type of day. I got caught up into the hype of wanting to contribute to the first black president. I did. And so now I could also say, unproudly, that I contributed to Gay Pride Month as well, because that came out of that whole situation as well. I could also say that I contributed to homosexual marriage. You understand? You got to be real about it. See, a lot of black folks wanted to be so quick to go run behind, oh, he's black, he's black, he's black. The same way that I feel a lot of people are running behind Trump because they feel a certain aura or a certain spirit oozing from him. So if for no reason whatsoever, if for no other reason, they're going to vote for him because he has that good old boy spirit. It goes both ways. And I can admit both ways. I understand that. Even though I can admit there wasn't such a hateful, violent spirit with the folks that were voting for Obama. You understand? But there was still another spirit, because with that spirit came another spirit where people thought that there would be freedoms to do sinful things that we have no business doing, like homosexuality, like the abortions, like the transgender, I don't even know what to call it, stuff that we see going on. Yeah, that same spirit, that same aura was ushered in with Obama. Why? There's certain things that are said. There's certain pieces of speech that are said that are inclusive of certain things that he said that allowed certain people to feel comfortable. The same way with Trump's speech, there are certain parts of speech that make certain people feel comfortable to commit acts of violence or feel as though they're better than others. But see, what you have to understand and realize about this is people can say, oh, well, it wasn't Trump's side who shot him. Well, they say he was registered Republican or whatever. So, I mean, at some point he thought like you all, if not still. But he may have been one that didn't like who Trump was and how he was supporting you all's side. Or let's say even if he was a full-blown Democrat at this point, and all of those old records of him being Republican, maybe that's just old, maybe he changed his mind. Still, even with that being said, I'm not excusing anything, but that level of hatred from his end was only bred and groomed due to the hatred he's seeing from that other side. See, hatred is going to produce hatred. It's just that Trump's side was kind of winning in the hatred department up until this point. They were the ones whipping people, jumping people, you know what I'm saying? Punching on people, hitting people with cars and this and that, whoop-de-whoop. Yeah, well, I mean, you've done it long enough to where you have some other folks who say, I'm going to put an end to this. You created that monster by supporting the hatred. One thing I said, and listen, and I'm not saying this to take side, I'm just saying, let's be real about it. Let's be real about it also. After Trump was shot at, and I do believe this stuff is real. I saw a clip in slow-mo of the bullet that missed this boy's head. My goodness. I'm not going to sit here and say that this stuff was edited into the film, and I'm like, man, look, that looked like a real live bullet to me. Bruh, for this dude to have been really true live grazed, if he was grazed, the way that they say he was grazed, that's only God. And I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, it's God because God saved him because he needs to be the president. No, God just saved him because that's who he chose to show mercy on. Somebody said, oh, well, why didn't he show mercy on the man who was killed? They said that man was in church. They said that man was living right. That man may have been ready to meet his maker. God might have wanted to call him home. He may have had to miss Trump with that bullet because he knew Trump wasn't ready. He said, you need some more time, brother. Now, I don't mean to judge him. I'm just saying, if there's any hatred in his heart, if there's anything evil in his heart, God may have spared him and given him time, as I wish he would do to many of us and all of us. May have given him time to say, you need a little bit more time to refine yourself. But that other brother, he's ready. Now, yes, it still hurts. Yes, it's still painful. But if that man made it to heaven the other day, that man is a winner in all of this, in this whole situation. Because he's gone from all of this nonsense. Yes, his family will go through pain. Yes, his family will go through suffering. But if that man made it to heaven the other day when he was shot, that man came out of the situation on top. And that's only if you believe in a true and living God. You understand? But one thing that I can say, I heard Biden come flat out of his mouth and say flat out, I do not condone this type of violence. It's wrong. In no way, shape, or form should this be taking place. And then I look at Trump when the stuff happened with the people getting ran over by the cars in Charleston, Carolina, and this and that, where it was like he just beat around the bush with just talking about the racist national group that was out there behind some of these things, is like, dude, why can't you just come flat out and say that this is wrong? All of there's good people on both sides, there's bad people on both sides. Look, bro, just do what's right, bro. And I expect this side, the Democratic side, to be more compassionate, to be more forgiving. Because that's the role that they have to play. They're the accepting party, the accepting side, accepting of everyone. Well, you have to be forgiving then. Let the other side be hateful and stern with their beliefs and with their actions and hateful in how they carry them out. And you all are just accepting of everything else. So the Democratic side has to be forgiving and loving towards Trump. Because if you all want to be loving towards homosexuals, loving towards transgenders, loving towards people who want to marry cows and mooses and everything else, if you want to be so compassionate to all of these people and look at them and see the troubles that they have inside of them, the love that they need, you have to do the same thing to Trump. You have to do the same thing to a hateful racist. Not to say that that's what he is, but someone who is painted out to be that way or easily believed to be that way, you have to show that same compassion to that side. So I expect the Democratic side to have to be forgiving and loving, as everyone should be. But I just know there's different character flaws and different things from each side that you can know and expect. You understand? So this is a video from Fox News. I guess this is the side that supports Trump. I just want to hear a couple of things about this guy who attempted to assassinate him.
Eyewitnesses describing a chaotic scene that unfolded yesterday when the sudden hail of gunfire rang out at former President Trump's Pennsylvania rally. And now we are learning more about the shooter. Hello and welcome back. I'm John Roberts in Washington. Sandra, there's a lot of questions yet to be answered.
And a lot we're learning at this hour. I'm Sandra Smith in New York, and this is a special edition of America Reports on this Sunday. The FBI is investigating the incident as an assassination attempt. Here's what we know so far. The FBI revealed the 20-year-old shooter, Thomas Matthew Crooks, acted alone. He used a gun that was found near the scene, and Fox has learned it was legally purchased by Crooks' father.
My thing is, too, they say this guy was 150 yards away. Now, I know that seems like, you talking about running a football field. That's a football field and a half. Yeah, with a handgun or hand-to-hand combat, it's impossible. You're like, man, this guy is way over there. But with these rifles, the things that these people can do, bro, 150 yards is nothing. Nothing. That's nothing in terms of distance when you know what you're doing with these type of guns, with this caliber of gun.
Right now, the FBI is sifting through DNA evidence, fingerprints, and any social media presence as it tries to determine the motive.
All right, let's get right to David Spahn. He's live in Washington. He's got the latest on this investigation.
And I'm looking at this young man, bro. This young man looks like just the perfect example of someone being picked on, bro. This goes to show you, bro, just like you have to start showing people love, bro. You have to start teaching, like I tell y'all, children are some of the most evil creatures on earth, bro. And sometimes you can't control it. But as much as you possibly can, bro, you have to teach love to these children, bro. You have to. You have to teach these children to respect one another. And see, these children are not respected at home a lot of times. These children are in situations where they're being hated at home. It's hate at home. It's anger at home. It's confusion at home. And then we send these children out into the world to grow to be Lord knows what. You know what I mean? But I never just look at the situation. I always try to go back to the origin and see what part that everyone played in a particular situation. Because a lot of people add fuel to fires that they don't even realize and then sit back and are surprised at the damage that's caused. And like, oh my goodness. It's like, yeah, I could have told you this was coming. Look at what you were feeding. Look at what you were feeding into this situation.
And what we are learning right now. David?
Sandra, something we've just been able to confirm through the Secret Service. According to a spokesperson for the Secret Service, local authorities were aware of this threat shortly before President Trump was fired upon shortly before shots rang out at this rally last night.
That's
and
crazy.
When the local police tried to make contact, that's when the shooting started. There are still questions, though, as to why the Secret Service was not aware of this threat before it happened. Now, technically, it was outside of the perimeter where this suspect, Thomas Crooks, was with his gun. It was.
I'm just looking at these pictures and stuff. I mean, look, I don't want to crack any jokes whatsoever because someone lost their life. And I know in this day and age, it's like, oh, if you're not the important one, if you're not the one with 1 million followers, if you're not the one in the spotlight, we overlook it. And I think that's very cruel on our part as humans. That's very cruel. Because see, if that's your family member, they're important to you. They're famous to you. They're a superstar to you. And how would you feel if the rest of the world just carried on and just talked about Trump, Trump, Trump? Because if something would have happened to him, the whole world would have stopped. But I feel as though the whole world should stop for the man who did lose his life. He's important. Matter of fact, and I'm going to just end off with that. You know what I mean? I'm going to end off like that. Like I said, we're supposed to do what Christians do. I don't care what side this man was on. I don't care about his beliefs. I don't care how much I disagree with you. I don't want you to lose your life. If anything, I want change. I want to see change from you. Because not only do I want to see change for the situation that I'm complaining about or arguing about, I want to see the change for you yourself so that you can make it to heaven. It's not just about you stopping your behavior so that you can stop hateful behavior or wrong behavior towards someone else, but it's so that you can have your life right, your soul right. And if we're supposed to be Christians, we're supposed to care about souls. So as a matter of fact, that's how I want to wrap this one up. That's how I want to end this one. I just want to pray for the family of that man. Father, I just ask that you just, as much as you can, heal the family members and the loved ones of the individual who was shot and whose life was taken at this rally, dear God. I just ask and pray that we can all use this moment as some type of development in our minds and our spirits, just to fight against any hatred, racism, biases that we may have, dear God. No one's life is worth being lost behind any of these worthless arguments. Teach us, Father, to see through the nonsense, to not just be caught up in social media, online propaganda, or anything of that nature, Father. Just teach us to follow your word and to go into your word to see how we're supposed to act in these situations and react. We thank you for everything that you're doing, everything that you've done, and everything that you're going to do. In the name of your son, Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen. I'm out, y'all. Till next time. One.